My name is Daniel Grant, and I'm going to be presenting the case on Life Can Be Busy out of Chapter 5. It says, how can you do your job when you don't have time? Just a quick overview of the case. Susan York, she was a partner in a CPA firm whose largest audit client was a mental health provider. It was called Health Plus. As the partner in this firm, she had the responsibility to perform the audit for it. And she was really good friends with the president of this company. This audit that she performed every year was required by the creditor in order so that they didn't default on their loan. It was a very familiar audit to her, and she could do it normally within about a 5-day period. The audit was normally due on August 15th, so she needed the audit by the 10th of August so that she could get it done. And then continue on into the case. On the 10th of August, Susan York hadn't received the papers, the working papers from the president. He called her up and said, "Hey, the person who's supposed to be getting these to me is sick at the time. If I give them to you a few days late, could you work through and help me?" And because she was a good friend of the president, she agreed to do so. A few days later, the president of the health company called again, Health Plus, and said, "Susan, I'm sorry, I still don't have the papers. Can you help me out?" And she was quite dedicated to the partner and was a good friend, and so she said yes. The day before the audit was due to the creditor, so the 14th, the president called her and finally said, "Okay, I finally have the papers." And so he quickly got the papers over to her on that afternoon of the 14th, which gave her approximately 24 hours to complete the audit, which wasn't a lot of time. And so that was a little bit hard for her. And as soon as she received the papers, many things came up. She realized that she had interviews. She realized that she had other prior commitments. Her son showed up to go to lunch, who had been out of the country for quite some time, and time just was not on her side at that moment. And because of that, she had a problem. She had agreed to do the audit, but she didn't have time to do it. So the options that she had at this point is where ethics comes into play. Is what does she do? What does Susan York do in this moment? She could do a few things. One thing is she could just trust her friend, the president of the Health Plus, and she could just trust that the working papers were correct and she could sign off on them. She could also call back up the president and say, "I'm really sorry, but you just didn't give me enough time. I can't complete this audit. I'm busy, things have come up, and I know I said I'd help, but I can't give it the full attention that it needs at this moment." Or she could back out of previous obligations that she had already made, and she could try to perform the audit in that small amount of time. So in this presentation, I came up with the conclusion as I studied this out of what I thought she should do, the solution for Susan York. Obviously, the wrong thing to do would be to just sign the papers and trust her friend. As good of a friend as they might have been, that's not the right thing to do. And so the best thing for her to do is to call the friend, the president, and to let him know that she would not be able to perform the audit because there just wasn't enough time. I truly believe that if she would have done this, then he probably would have understood, and as hard as it would have been, they probably could have worked through it. He could have called the creditor up and maybe got more time. I don't know. We find out later in the case that in real life that she actually just signed the audit papers. She didn't look over them. She didn't do a complete report on it, and because of that, her firm had many problems in the future. It's very important that we be ethical in everything we do. In audits, especially in accounting, so many people trust us in the work that we do, and if we're ethical, then we'll be able to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish, and we'll feel good about it ourselves. It may not always be easy, and we will be busy a lot of the time, and so it's going to be hard to prioritize our time. But I know that when we do that, we'll feel good about the work that we've done. Thank you.